Alright, so we've been talking about lines and graphing them, and those can involve slope and points and making tables and whatnot, but I want to look specifically at 4 different types of slope. So let's say we have a graph here, and we have some type of line anywhere in the graph, but it's moving from down to up. This type of slope is always going to be a positive slope. Remember, slope is rise over run, so if say we had 2 points on here and we went up a certain amount, well, that would be in the positive direction, and to the right over or run in a positive direction. So a positive over a positive is going to give us a positive slope. Same thing if we went down, that would be a negative. To the left would be negative. And that would give us a negative over a negative, which would also be positive. So whenever you see down to up, this is going to be a positive slope. Now if you ever see a line going in the opposite direction from up towards down, and the y values are getting smaller and smaller, negative, 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 as we move forward, it's going down, 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 this is going to be a negative slope. And we can do the same thing going doing our rise over run, and it will give us a negative. So just be able to recognize a line moving downward has a negative slope. Alright, pay close attention to this one. You might even want to write this one down because you're going to encounter this many times as we go forward. It's going to be a slope of 0. This line here has a slope of 0. Notice there's no values going up. There's no rise, so our rise would be 0 over, it doesn't matter what our run is. Let's say our run is 1. 0 over anything is still going to be 0. So this gives us a slope of 0. Now the equations of these lines, and this is the important thing to notice, the equations of these lines, we do not have an x value, we only have a y equals. So let's say that this value here at our line is 1. This line equation would be y equals 1. So if you ever see some type of equation where you just have y equals a number, you know it's talking about a line that's horizontal, a line with 0 slope, just like the one we have up here. And notice if we took the same equation here and we wanted to graph it using a table, it doesn't matter what x value you put in. Let's say we put in -3. Well, if we put in -3, our y is still going to equal 1. Because there's nowhere to plug in x. If we put in 0, our y is going to equal 1. If we plug in 50, there's nowhere to put x, so our y value is going to equal 1. So graphing this at any of these x values that we have, we're always going to get our point at the 1 mark, and it would be just straight across. Alright, let's say we had the opposite of a horizontal slope. Let's say we had a vertical line, a line going straight up and down. This slope we say is undefined. And the reason it's undefined is because if we did our rise over run, well, it doesn't matter what our rise is, we can go up any number amount, so that can be any number. But if we divide that by our run, notice we're not going left or right any spaces, so our denominator would be 0, and we can never divide by 0, therefore we say our slope is undefined. And instead of y equals for these graphs, we say that x equals, and then our number. Let's say our number up here was 3. Let's say this line was 3. For our line, our equation would be x equals 3. And if we were to make a chart here, an xy chart, the only value we can put in is 3 because we know that x has to equal 3, so it doesn't matter what our y values are, 1, 2, 3, 4, -20, it doesn't matter. We're always going to have our x value of 3. So remember, an x equals something is a vertical line, and then we say that the slope is undefined. Alright, a type of problem you might encounter in regard to these, they might tell you to graph the following line. They might say y equals 3. Well, all you have to do is give yourself a coordinate plane. You know that the y value is 3. We know it's a y equals. So because it's a y equals, we know it's a horizontal line at the y value of 3. So we can go up and say 1, 2, 3, and y equals 3 for all these x values. And we're done. We've graphed it. Likewise, let's say we had an equation of a line that said x equals -2. Well, I see x equals, so I know it's going to be a vertical line with an undefined slope. So I give myself a coordinate plane. I know I'm going to have to be at the x, on the x-axis. That's a good way to help you remember which axis. Here we have the x-axis. Here we have x equals. So on the x-axis, I go over to -2, and I draw myself a vertical line. And done. So these aren't too tough. You just need to remember that the y, you go up on the y-axis and it's a horizontal. X, you go along the x-axis and it's going to be a vertical line.